Legal lad Harry Litman is here all the way from the fine city of San Diego. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, Steph.
Are you, oh, is that
I'm ready to opine.
Is that your nerd? Is that your nerd voice? You have known Merrick Garland for 35 years. You worked closely with him at the DOJ. And so, first of all, Harry, I said this to open the show. I can see why they were afraid to give him a hearing for Supreme Court justice. He is everything people like you have been saying he is.
He's one of a kind. He's a paragon of excellence, but also integrity, but also judgment, but also decency. You know, I've never seen him put his pants on, but I'm not sure it's one leg at a time. He's everything, you know, they say, and he's so he's so decent. Now, of course, he's also Mr. Rule of Law. So for your sexy liberal friends, you know, law enforcement's a bit of a conservative enterprise. There will be programs and stuff, but he's going to put people in jail.
Yeah.
And, you know, not completely overhaul the mission of the Department of Justice. But he's a straight shooter, he's great. He's great.
I mean, I love the straight line he drew, Harry, between Oklahoma City, and Tim McVeigh, which he prosecuted, to January 6th, and that it will be his number one priority. And finally, our number one priority at the Department of Justice is our number one threat: white supremacist right-wing terrorism, as Chris Wray and how many others have been saying now for years, right?
Yeah, and he said he drew two lines, right? He said there's a line that goes from Oklahoma City to 2021. There's a line that goes backwards from Oklahoma City to 1871, and it's really true. We are in an era that really has echoes of the immediate Reconstruction period with the Ku Klux Klan which was the real sort of explosion of not white supremacy is almost it's too pale a word. White terrorism of the newly freed slaves that gave rise to the Department of Justice, to laws that we still use. So that was very telling that he had that touchstone. I thought he's saying, you know, look, there's the basic mission of equal justice under law. You know, much remains to be done.
Yeah, and you also called it White House. Big question is looking upstream regarding Trump at all. We will pursue these leads wherever they take us. You thought that was the biggest news from the hearing so far. I was hoping if he just looked pointedly at Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Will you be looking upstream?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, Senator, what anything you say could be. But I mean, look, I have been saying this for weeks, but you're going to hear calls as soon as Trump's involved for special counsel. But what he was saying was really the prerogative of the Department of Justice, in the sense that you cannot do a comprehensive, aggressive investigation, as they must do, to all the insurrectionists, all the lowlifes, and then ignore the possibility that Trump Jr., you know, hero or zero, Giuliani, trial by combat, were involved. And nor can you farm out that little piece of it. It really is all part and parcel. You're going to find, once you start bringing these people to trial, they're going to be pointing the finger at Trump, if only for tactical reasons, trying to subpoena him. But that itself is going to be a bit of a hornet's nest when, you know, just they're going to call people in the grand jury, who were, say, hanging around Trump in the afternoon when he was supposedly delighted. They're going to investigate wherever it goes. And that White House, who asked him this question, you know, he's a former U.S. attorney. He knew just what he was talking about and what Garland would say. And, you know, Garland didn't have to say it, but there were 3 or 4 things he didn't have to say that he said anyway. And that was one of them. That means, don't come to me for a special counsel on Donald Trump. This is us. This is what we do. And it's part of the whole thing that is my number one priority.
Well, you pointed out on Twitter a bunch of, you said, draws a strong personal line of independence. You know, a few moments you said, I think the policy of separating migrant parents from their children was shameful. I mean, it really was, I mean, I imagine for you, Harry, who's, you know, worked in the Department of Justice, just the message that sent to everybody at the Department of Justice that the Department of Justice is back. Justice is back in America.
I mean, I worked there. 115,000 people still work there, and there must have been high fives and jubilation. He really put it. He didn't just say I'm behind them. He at one point he said my job is standing behind them and protecting them. And you know, because they've been beaten up terribly, including by their own bosses, the last few years, and by the nature of their job, they can't be out there defending themselves. It really is a big part of his job, and it must have been just a moment of, you know, exultation for them to hear it.
I mean, you also talked, like everybody did, about, you said, remarkable emotional moment from Judge Garland on fleeing the Holocaust and his gratitude to the country. That was just an extraordinary moment, wasn't it?
Wasn't it lovely? Jeez. Yeah. You know, I had the feeling that I got asked on TV yesterday, was I surprised? When I got the feeling that he was surprised. You know, you're in public, you start saying something and you feel suddenly you're going to be choking up, but you got to get through it. And it led to this kind of halting cadence, and just, you know, they took us in, that was one part. And when he really took it and protected us, you know, the feeling deep in their bones of like when a government is there to terrorize or you know, torture and kill you, and the nakedness of it and then to come and have protection of government. It really, I thought, was so resonant of, you know, the importance of government as protecting people, and he was, of course, referring now to you know, people on the short end of the stick going forward. But wasn't what a beautiful sort of real, you know, 20 seconds that was. It was.
And Jody Hamilton and I can tell you from having gone to acting class, Harry, it's watching someone cry is not the powerful thing. It's watching someone trying to stop themselves from crying that is the emotional powerhouse. Okay. That was so hot. That
really
Hollywood
lovely,
moment.
Really lovely.
But no, he just, it really was. I have to say, Harry, this is why I have daddy issues with you and all of my legal lads, because as you know, my dad was a Nuremberg prosecutor. And so that moment was particularly powerful for me, because somebody was talking recently about, you know, I can't believe this is the party of Bill Miller, who, you know, prosecuted that, you know, what they went through to just.
Did your dad know Robert Jackson?
Sure. But I mean, what they just went through to excuse Nazis at the Capitol, to actual Nazis wearing Auschwitz sweatshirts. Right. I mean, what the Republican. I mean, so what do you? Where do you think the, you know, legal? Will there be consequences legally for the people who aided this insurrection, like the Hawleys and the Cruzes and who knows who else in Congress?
I was ready to say yes till you said like the Hawleys and Cruzes. If anybody, I mean, if in fact, you know, I saw there were people with floor mats, and how the hell did they get past the secret, you know, to the secret sanctum of you know, certain congressmen? If that really was fed them by members of Congress, wow, I think you could see charges. But they'll definitely be going. I mean, this is almost an opportunity for the department. What you want to do with, you know, these are kind of ragtag lowlifes in a way, and they're certainly, I mean, what you want to really do is disassemble them, and especially by you know, bankrupting them.
Well, Terry,
and so I think they'll want not only to completely clean up the mess of January 6th, but to actually uproot these, you know, ragtag groups of jerks. And there'll be so much social media when anyone they've charged with conspiracy stuff are looking at potential, you know, 10-year and more sentences. I mean, they'll be turning. They'll be turning. I mean, I think part of it is just having yesterday watched another video of a black man shot to death who was jaywalking, I guess. When was?
I don't
when did it
even
happen?
know where this one was. It's just.
I see.
But I mean, the fact that just this whole thing, how they just, defang the, National Guard. I mean, these people walking into the Senate chamber and like, they didn't shoot any of them, and they're shooting black people who are sleeping in their own beds. I mean,
there was the rhetorical turnabout yesterday, right? You would have seen in testimony all the way through, or presidential statements, a sort of poo-pooing or apologism for the white terrorists, and a severity about every little thing that at Black Lives Matter. And just by emphasis, he said, number one problem, national terrorism, and we know that's white terrorism. And he obviously was sympathetic. He came out of the box pretty early, talking about the, the grave problems that remain in race relations, and not just relations. I was really struck right away, he talked about COVID, and I don't know if you've seen the numbers of the disparate impacts of 3 times as bad for African Americans. That's a matter for the Department of Justice in at least some way. And he was really sensitive to it.
Real quick, save the best to last. You said still a mystery what took them so long. Supreme Court finally clears the way for the New York DA to get Trump's tax records. How bad for Donald Trump, and how soon, Harry?
Okay, well, so I'm leaving aside the Supreme Court then, because but how bad for Donald Trump? Quite, because even if this information was already out there, now they have it officially. And so it just comes down to, and they've been going forward even as they've, and he's got now big forensic accountants, et cetera. And there's just so much. We have reason to think, we don't know yet they can prove in court, but Vance is really looking to, that their whole MO was this kind of, not shifty, criminal overvaluation of assets when you need a loan, and undervaluation when you need
fraud, insurance fraud, bank fraud.
They have other witnesses. There's the great 74-year-old accountant, CFO. I think it's a pretty decent shot that it bears fruit. And I think an even stronger shot might be Fulton County, and that would be sooner, because this is a very
I was just going to say, I would
Vance
think New York
would
be soonest because of the timeline. It started sooner, because I was going to ask about Georgia, NAACP.
It's so much simpler in Fulton County.
Okay.
And he's good. This kind of paper case, even, the first step normally is to get the tax returns. He has them now. There's a lot of piecing together. I'd say 6 months there. Fulton County could be like, 6 weeks.
And real quick, curious, headline: experts provide Congress with a roadmap to disqualify Trump from further office after GOP shirks its duty. It's step-by-step instructions to use the 14th Amendment, which I am for all of the above. Do you think they should do that? And
of course,
they said you could have one afternoon of debate and a vote. The beauty of it, they said, is it won't involve a trial in 2/3 of the Senate. And it seems like it would be a favor to Republicans as well. But what do you think?
Well, that favor, that favor that they had in front of them, and I don't, it seemed to me that they miscalculated. What I think is, it's not as simple as people are saying. That route, I don't know whom you're referring to, but to just do it that way is, ready for a good nerdy term, bill of attainder, I think. You can't just, single him out for that, even though it qualifies under Section 3. I think what they need to do is pass a statute that gives the judiciary the power to adjudicate somebody an insurrectionist under Section 3, and then subject him to that process that they've passed. That's more complicated.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that's going around on Section 3 basically won't work.
Boo. Boo.
That's just me.
Boo, Harry.
But that's just Harry.
Lawyer.
Yeah, that's just Harry.
That's just me.
All right. I'll take Fulton County. I'll take anybody first. I'll take all comers. All right, Harry, thanks as always. Got great stuff, and we'll talk to you soon. Ow.